History remembers him as a monster, but he started as a nobody. How did a lonely, failed artist transform into the dictator who would set the entire world on fire?
Born in a small Austrian border town, young Adolf lived under the shadow of a strict, short-tempered father. The boy was moody and resentful, dreaming of a life far away.
He moved to Vienna hoping to become a master painter, but the art academy rejected him twice. Homeless and hungry, he slept on park benches, selling cheap postcards to survive. In the cold streets of Vienna, his bitterness grew. He began to listen to radical politicians who blamed specific groups for all of society's problems, planting seeds of deep hatred.
When World War I exploded, he finally found a purpose. He enlisted in the German army, eager to fight. For the first time, the lonely drifter felt he belonged somewhere.
He served as a message runner in the dangerous trenches of the Western Front. Surrounded by death and chaos, he was known for his strange luck in avoiding fatal injury.
Near the end of the war, a gas attack left him temporarily blind. While recovering in a hospital, he heard the news that Germany had surrendered, shattering his entire world. He refused to accept defeat on the battlefield. Like many others, he believed the dangerous lie that Germany had been betrayed by politicians and enemies within, not beaten by soldiers. Back in Munich, he was sent to spy on a tiny political party. Instead of reporting them, he joined them. He discovered a terrifying gift. He could hypnotize crowds with speech.
In 1923, he tried to seize power by force in the beer hall putsch. It was a disaster. Police opened fire, his men were killed, and he was arrested for treason.
Imprisonment became his opportunity. In his comfortable cell, he dictated his book, Mein Kampf. It laid out his dark plans for Germany and his obsession with racial purity.
After release, he was a nobody again, until the Great Depression crashed the economy. Desperate, starving men looked for a savior, and he promised them bread, work, and national pride. He flew across Germany, visiting town after town. His campaign was modern and relentless. He wasn't just a politician anymore. He presented himself as the mystical destiny of Germany. Despite his popularity, he didn't win a majority initially. Conservative politicians thought they could control him. They struck a deal to make him chancellor, believing he was their puppet.
In January 1933, he became chancellor. That night, thousands of his stormtroopers marched through Berlin with torches. The democracy of Germany was dying, and a dictatorship was being born.
Weeks later, the parliament building burned down. He blamed his political rivals immediately. This crisis gave him the excuse to suspend civil rights and arrest anyone who opposed him. He bullied the parliament into passing the Enabling Act. This law allowed him to make rules without a vote. With the stroke of a pen, he became the law. Paranoid about rivals, even within his own party, he ordered a bloody purge. In one night, he had his old allies and friends executed to cement his absolute control. He understood the power of media. Cheap radios were distributed so every German household could hear his voice. Propaganda became a daily diet, brainwashing a nation into obedience. He broke international treaties and began building a massive war machine. Factories churned out tanks and planes. Unemployment vanished, but the price was preparing the country for total war. He knew the future lay with the children. The Hitler Youth Organization trained boys to be soldiers and to value the state above their own parents. He owned their minds. He gambled by marching troops into the Rhineland, a demilitarized zone. The world powers did nothing. Emboldened by their silence, he realized he could take whatever he wanted. Next, he turned to his homeland, Austria. His troops crossed the border, not to fight, but to be cheered by crowds. He had expanded the empire without firing a shot. European leaders tried to appease him, giving him parts of Czechoslovakia in exchange for peace. He signed the paper, smiled, and then privately mocked them for their weakness. On September 1st, 1939, his patience ended. He unleashed his armies on Poland. Britain and France finally stood up to him. The Second World War had officially begun. His tactic was lightning war.
Fast tanks and screaming dive bombers crushed defenses. In just weeks, powerful nations fell. The world watched in horror as his shadow covered Europe.
He toured a conquered Paris, the master of the continent. It seemed nothing could stop him. His ego grew to dangerous levels, convinced of his own military genius. He turned his eyes to Britain, bombing their cities relentlessly. But the British refused to surrender. It was his first major failure, proving his war machine was not invincible. Driven by hatred of communism, he made a fatal error. He invaded the Soviet Union. The vast spaces and brutal Russian winter would eventually become the graveyard of his army. Behind the front lines, his SS units began the systematic murder of millions. Jewish people and undesirables were sent to camps. It was industrial slaughter on a scale never seen. He didn't just kill in the heat of battle. He created a cold, bureaucratic system of death. Men in suits sat at desks and planned the extermination of innocent people. At Stalingrad, the tide turned. His army was surrounded and destroyed. He forbade them from retreating, sentencing hundreds of thousands of his own men to death or captivity. By 1944, enemies were closing in from the east and west. American and British troops landed in France. The empire he promised would last 1,000 years was crumbling. Even his own generals realized he was leading Germany to ruin. They planted a bomb in his briefing room. He survived with minor burns, convinced more than ever that he was invincible. As the end neared, his health failed. His hands shook uncontrollably, and his mind drifted into fantasy. He moved imaginary armies on maps, ordering attacks by units that no longer existed. He retreated into a concrete bunker beneath Berlin. Above ground, the city was being pounded into rubble by Soviet artillery. Below, he lived in a strange, artificial world. Desperate to delay the inevitable, he sent young boys and old men to fight seasoned soldiers in the streets. He was willing to sacrifice every last German for his own ego. He blamed the German people for the defeat, saying they were not strong enough for him. He issued orders to destroy what was left of the country's infrastructure, a scorched earth. With Soviet troops just blocks away, he knew capture was imminent. He chose the coward's way out. On April 30th, 1945, the dictator prepared to end his own life. A gunshot rang out in the bunker. The man who had caused the deaths of tens of millions was dead. His body was burned in a shell crater outside. Days later, Germany surrendered unconditionally. The nightmare was finally over. People emerged from cellars to see a continent in ruins, wondering how they had let it happen. His surviving henchmen were put on trial. The world learned the full extent of the Holocaust and the atrocities committed. The name Hitler became synonymous with absolute evil. He promised glory, but left only destruction, shame, and death. He showed the world the terrible things that happen when hate is allowed to consume a nation's soul. His story is a warning. It reminds us that freedom is fragile. Democracy can be destroyed from within by charisma, lies, and the silence of good people. Tyrants do not start as monsters. They start as men who promise easy solutions. We must study the past to ensure that such darkness never rises again. If you found this history lesson valuable, please like the video and subscribe for more documentaries. Comment below, what lesson do you think is most important from this era?